Nigeria's public debt stock has soared to a whopping 101 trillion naira as the federal government borrows a total of $4.95 billion from the World Bank in the past 12 months. The government has received loans for various projects, including power sector financing at $750 million, women empowerment at $500 million, girl-child education at $700 million, renewable energy at $750 million, resource mobilization reforms at $750 million, and economic stabilization reforms at $1.5 billion. The country's public debt stood at 97 trillion naira as of December 2023, with the government expecting fresh loan approval worth $4.4 billion from the World Bank and Africa Development Bank in the next year. This is Daybreak Interactive, where we get your take, comments, concern on topical issues as I've read before you this morning. Nigeria's government taking more loans. Are you in support? Well, the phone lines is going to be on the screen. We expect those calls to, send in those concerns, send in those contributions on your take of this situation. Should the government be taking more loans, especially in this situation where we're grappling with a rising, dollar exchange rate compared to the naira? Some would say the naira is taking a serious beating. So are you in support of us taking this loan in dollars that we're going to be paying back, of course, in dollars, looking at the fact that, the naira is not really doing well against the dollar? Should we be going outside, especially to the World Bank, to take these loans? Should we look inwardly? And the question of, if we look inwardly, the possibility, of the country to be able, and its agencies to be able to cough up some of these resources. Earlier, we were talking about the government wanting to go, to the pension fund to borrow pensioners' money. We saw where that led. But now, again, the government is saying, well, they have to go to the World Bank to borrow from them because they need to finance infrastructural projects, to finance women empowerment, to finance girl-child education, and to finance quite a number of other, areas in the country that require financing. Well, let's get those calls, let's get those concerns, let's get those contributions, as you comment on the development. Are you in support or are you not in support? Why are you in support of it? Why are you not in support of it? We expect those calls. And just to, rejig your memory, the total is $4.9 billion. And the total debt stock, which was, as at 2023, 97 trillion naira, is expected to jump to 101 trillion naira. I understand that we have our first caller. Good morning. Welcome to Trust TV. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Sally. I'm calling from Jos.
All right, Sally from Jos. What's your take? Should we be borrowing or should we not?
Well, the issue of borrowing, the World Bank and the IMF always tell us that borrowing is good for the country. But I don't see where borrowing is good for the country when the naira is sliding. And then the dollar always gain against the naira. So for me, borrowing is not good. The government should come open and tell us exactly why are they borrowing this money. Because for us in the country, taxation upon taxation. When the tinubu administration came on board, they've increased a lot of taxes. And then when we're taxing people, that tax is supposed to come back to the people and then work some things out. We need infrastructure, you use it from the tax. We need good roads, you need it for the tax. We need a good health care. The girl child education that you're talking about, we need more in the north. I've not seen anywhere that they say they are building schools and mobilizing to take girls to school. And you're borrowing over $750 million. It's not naira, it's $1 million. And then I've not seen it anywhere. And you keep borrowing, you keep borrowing, you keep borrowing. He was complaining about Buhari's government borrowing. Right now, just in a year in office, he has borrowed close to what Buhari has borrowed. So please, my take is that all this borrowing, they're just borrowing to take care of themselves. People need help. People are hungry. People are starving. There's insecurity all over, especially in the north.
Okay.
And then borrowing money for this purpose. Okay, if you build the school and you mobilize the girl child to school and they kidnap them, and then at the end of the day we're talking about ransom. Fix the problem first. Then you can now focus on the fiscal policies that you want to do, because without insecurity.
Saliu, maybe the government is working on something, because if you look at the breakdown for the total amount that's expected to be borrowed, we didn't see anything around security on this. So should we say maybe the government is working on something and they don't want to let it open yet? We might as well be hopeful that they will do something about the security situation.
That is the problem. In anything that we're doing in this country, once we don't put security first, then we are taking it the wrong way that it's not supposed to be. Security is first, because we're battling with this thing for a very long time.
Okay.
Buhari spent 8 years.
Right.
During Jonathan's time, we're having these issues. During Yar'Adua time, it was there. During Obasanjo, this thing started. We understand that security is not a day business, and it has never been a one government fixed security problem. But let there be proper investment in security and commitment. Sometimes we use democracy to say that the government cannot tamper with the governors because the governors have the immunity. If something is happening in your state and then you're playing politics with people's lives, or someone appointee is being complicit about dealing with the issue of security, what you do is you take out the person. You don't need the House of Assembly. You don't need it. This borrowing should stop. Government should focus on the major problem we have. Then later on, they can come back and start giving the fiscal policy. Because you can build all these things and then these people burn it. And then where do we go from there?
All right. So the focus should be on security.
Yes.
All right then. Thank you very much, Salihu, for calling all the way from Jos there. Yes, that was our first caller, Salihu. Focus on security. Security is the foundation upon which others can be built upon, because if there's no security, well, we might as well be building castles in the air. It is because of security that children can go to school freely without fear of being abducted. So if the security architecture is not in place and citizens still fear that they might get kidnapped or attacked, well, what's the essence of all of this? That's Saliu's point. Another caller we have on the program. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, good morning. Unfortunately, we lost that call. Please give us a call back to, sharing those contributions on the development of whether the government should be borrowing more money or be focusing on situations, that Nigerians would call more pressing. Borrowing money to, tackle all of these issues. And Saliu said security is not there. Maybe the government has, something planned, because, with how sensitive the issue of security is, one would expect that it would not be taken lightly, and maybe tactics would not be put, out in the public. But then we have another caller. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Niger State. I'm Emmanuel.
Okay, Emmanuel from Niger State. Welcome to the program. What's your take on the situation of whether the government should be borrowing more money or not?
Government shouldn't borrow money. It's wrong.
Okay, go on, Emmanuel. I can hear you. So what should the government be doing instead? Okay, so I think we lost Emmanuel, but we have another call. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak Interactive. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hello?
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Welcome to the program.
My name is Anas Nuhu.
Anas from where?
From Kano.
All right, Mr. Anas from Kano. Go ahead with your contribution.
Well, the federal government shouldn't borrow money because the situation we're in couldn't, even previous government, they used to borrow money from IMF and other banks. They couldn't solve the Nigerian problem. Look at where we are in today. The situation in Katsina, Zamfara, and others shouldn't solve throughout. Look at it, how when they kill people's lives. And look at our road, look at our schools, look at our hospital. There's not enough care for how we government borrow money for what?
Well, the government is borrowing money most especially for resource mobilization and also for economic stabilization. That was what was stated in the breakdown for some, of the provisions for the loan. So maybe the government has to borrow money to, get the economy working again and also get Nigeria on the right path of development. Would you agree with me?
Well, maybe they need to lead themselves again. We shouldered a number of burdens in our shoulders. So the Nigerian situation, Nigeria doesn't need this money. We only need intelligent youth, not old people like these people. They are taking us back.
Anas, may I ask a question? Are you concerned that the government is borrowing this monies, or are you concerned that the government will borrow this money and your worry is that the monies will not be put to their actual use?
The money, if the money borrowed, it will not solve the problem they want to solve. That's the issue.
Okay, so how do you think the issue should be resolved?
So at least let them contact those experts that has knowledge on it, not borrow money direct.
Okay. All right then, Anas. Thank you so much for the call.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm calling you from Kano.
All right. Anas all the way from Kano there, saying that, well, the government might as well not borrow, but also look inwardly, talk to experts, to try to proffer the solutions and also try to put the government on the right direction on what to be doing instead of borrowing. The first caller had talked about security. Anna says, well, we could as well look elsewhere instead of borrowing. Emmanuel gave a word response. The government should not borrow. I wish that Emmanuel could call back to elucidate the reasons why he feels that the government shouldn't be borrowing at this time. But then again, if wishes were horses, and the way that proverb goes. But then again, the discussion is on whether the government should be borrowing $4.95 billion from the World Bank. I beg your pardon, $4.4 billion. It had already borrowed $4.95 billion from the World Bank. Should the government be borrowing more? Hello, good morning. Welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling. I'm Emmanuel.
Okay, Emmanuel from Niger.
No.
Okay.
I'm from Plateau State.
From Plateau. Okay, Emmanuel from Plateau State. Please let's hear your contribution.
Yes, I didn't support government to be borrowing money.
Okay. And why is that? Mr. Emmanuel, could you please turn down the volume of your TV set as it will interfere with the conversation?
We are blessed with
please turn down the volume of your TV set, Mr. Emmanuel.
Practice agriculture.
Are you there, Mr. Emmanuel? Okay, unfortunately, we lost that call, but quick, tip and also quick rules of engagement. If you're calling into the program, please turn down the volume of your TV set so it doesn't interfere with the conversation. Else, if you don't do that, there's going to be echoes and we might not be able to hear each other. So when you're calling into the program, turn down the volume of your TV set or step away from the TV set entirely so we could have a smooth conversation. It's still the question of whether the government should be borrowing more money from the IMF or not, as in the last 12 months, the government had already borrowed $4.95 billion, raising Nigeria's debt stock to 97 trillion naira. We now have another call on the program. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Interactive. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Ade. I'm calling from London.
Oh, Mr. Ade, welcome to the program. Let's hear your take.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. To me, there's nothing wrong in borrowing, in order to inject the money into the economy. But my fear is corruption. Corruption. So that's my fear. But borrowing is okay. In UK now, we are owing about 2.6 trillion pounds. In UK. That's how far we have borrowed our debt. 2.6 trillion pounds. But they are using the money judiciously. So no crying about that.
So you feel that the worry is after these monies are borrowed, it would not be used for the certain things that it was borrowed for.
Exactly. The level of corruption. You can imagine yesterday, Trust is telling you that in the civil service, they discover ghost workers who are relocated abroad and they are still collecting salary in Nigeria. Only in Nigeria such thing can happen. And I've never seen the Minister of Finance or EFCC or anybody coming out to say, okay, sack all of them, arrest them. Nobody is talking. So this borrowing we are borrowing, what is it going to be for? Are they going to use it judiciously? Borrowing is okay for any country. Like I told you, we are having 2.6 trillion pounds now in UK owing. Japan is the highest in the world. If you check it. So, but what do you use the money for? Corruption is what I'm afraid of. Corruption. That is the problem. Our people cannot go to farm now. Everybody is sitting at home because of insecurity. So government should do something about this thing. No matter how much money they borrow, if there is insecurity, it will go to waste. Because they should fight insecurity, people can go to farm. That's how economy can be boosted. People are afraid they can't go to farm. People are crying tomato is pepper is I get message every day, hundreds of messages. Things are expensive because insecurity is the main issue. We don't have burglary pool in our houses in England, but everybody is okay. Your peace of mind, even though you can't go hungry, there's where you can get food for free. So, but in Nigeria, it's not like that. So, government should do something. Nigerian people are hard-working people. They should do something about the farming, security. God bless Nigeria.
Amen. Amen. And God bless you too. Thank you so much for your contribution there, Mr. Ade, calling all the way from London. Regular caller on the Daybreak and, of course, on Trust TV. So, borrowing is not the problem, he says, but implementation is the problem. And we have another caller. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, I'm Engineer Amuda from Kazori.
Okay, Engineer Amuda from Kazori. Let's hear your contribution.
Thank you. My contribution here is that I will not advise that the government should continue to borrow
from the World Bank.
Definitely, all these loans that we get there will be conditions that will be attached to it that will definitely not to be in our favor. So I think we should try to make use of the proceeds of the fuel subsidy so that we can solve our immediate need. Then let us support our indigenous farming, our technology, so that we can grow. I think this will be the best for us because if you look back, right, to all the money that we've been borrowing, at the end of the year, we don't get, we've not been getting good results from it. So I think government should not go on continue borrowing. This is my contribution. Thank you very much.
All right, then. Thank you very much for the contributions all the way from Kazori there. So he feels that, the government should reconsider borrowing, especially because of some of the conditions, the borrowing conditions set by the lender, which is often an issue indeed, because sometimes some of these loans could come with clauses that might require that a country's currency be devalued. And if that's the case, we might see, the Naira even taking more beating. But, I don't know the content of the, conditions set by the World Bank to Nigeria, of course. But I'm just saying that these are some factors that can be mentioned. And then we have another caller. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and your location, please.
My name is Bishop Sisio Kenchi. I'm calling from Gwagwalada, Abuja.
Bishop from Gwagwalada, thank you for calling into the program.
Thank you.
Let's hear
so
your
very
contributions.
Much. This is my take. Trust TV. Can we for one day come back to our senses? Can our leaders for one day think beyond borrowing? Can we for one day reason positively? You are our anchor. I want you to ask yourself a question. How long will you continue to borrow for your family to survive? Why is it that we are running so wild? Why is it that we will just go there, borrow and come back, go again and borrow and come back, keep
generating and impounding debt upon generations and generations to come. For heaven's sake, don't we have sufficient means of generating income in Nigeria? How much it cost from generating last year? Look at what's happening. The man from England is saying that we can generate. But look at the setup of that government. Look at our own setup. Look at how our governors are embezzling money. Look at how the ministers are embezzling money.
But Bishop, some would say that, our government is set up quite nicely. It's just political will that some would say they don't have.
That is the point. Why don't we work on the political will? Why don't we work on our political will? Why don't we handle these matters? Why don't we set why don't we build an institution where things will be done accordingly?
Bishop, what would you recommend that the government does at this point?
What I'm saying is this. Let us look at our internal revenues. Look at what's happening in Zamfara State. We have enough gold there. Look at what is happening in Plateau State. We have enough solid mineral there.
No.
Why are we only anchoring on oil and oil and oil and oil? Keep anchoring. I don't support borrowing. It is diminishing our integrity. It is bringing Nigeria to 0 point. It is not working, brother. This thing is not working. How long? My take on this is this. This borrowing cannot solve any of our problems. Rather, it may impound more problems on us. First and foremost, let the insecurity be handled.
Okay.
When the insecurity is handled, then other things will come up. Then our mineral resources will be harnessed and effectively utilized. Let's look at how we generate money domestically within our environment, within our place. Then we'll be able to see bringing professionals into the government, people that can think beyond their families and their in-laws, people that can help build institutions that will formulate what we call a better Nigeria.
Okay.
Why borrowing and borrow? Small time they will run to overseas, borrow. Every time we use a house, we say kondombara. We will use kondombara up and down. We go here, we beg, we go down, beg, we go down, beg, and we return back to Nigeria. For what? I don't like this. I don't like this.
All right. Thank you very much for your very elaborate contributions on the issue. Well, Mr. Bishop was quite emphatic on his rejection in its entirety, the plan by the government to borrow more money from the World Bank and other international lenders. He says it's time for us to look inwardly and, of course, work on ramping up our internally generated revenue. But then we have another caller. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Shamaki from Nasarawa State.
Okay, Shamaki from Nasarawa State, a regular caller there. Good morning, Shamaki. Let's hear your contributions.
Thank you. Yep. In fact, for how long will Nigeria continue to collect this kind of loan?
That's the same question that Bishop asked.
Yeah, the last administration came and collected loans. I'm thinking this administration will not even do that. But surprisingly, we're beginning to hear these kind of things. So if Nigeria continues to borrow loan, at last, to get to a point that we'll be in trouble. Maybe we cannot be able to pay that money back. So I'm not in support. The government should get a means of how they can generate their own money in the country and use it, because we are not doing anything. We are not producing anything in the country. So we only rely on food. That's why we are suffering. So Nigeria should get means than borrowing. So I'm not in support. So this is my thing. Thank you very much.
All right, Shamaki. Thank you so much. Shamaki calling all the way from Nasarawa State. They're saying the government should not borrow because he is not in support. We could work on ramping up our internally generated revenues. Bishop spoke about, the focus on other sectors of the economy outside the oil sector. We have another caller now. Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak Interactive. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I am calling from Wali.
Your name, sir?
FCT.
Can you please turn down the volume of your TV set so we have a smooth conversation?
I have done that, sir.
All right, let's start by getting your name again.
It's okay. I am not a in support of this borrowing. As much as I know and I understand that borrowing is the way forward. But in the context of Nigeria, I am not sure putting it to effectiveness. You know, we have IGR, we have mineral resources, we have every other thing to tap into. This borrowing, are we borrowing impoverish our generation, future generation, our children? You know what the former government borrowed. They borrowed for over 8 years, and we still indulge in this borrowing. In fact, can't we look inward? Our problem in Nigeria, I think, is the governance. I might not be running a conclusion, but I think it's the governance. Because, look, go to Kogi State. Look at the steel industry. Go to Nasarawa State. Go to Niger State. I recently worked in Niger State, just transferred here. I know the mineral resources endowed in Niger State. In fact, our problem is when we borrow this money, are we going to put it into judicious use, not to go and buy SUV and other things? That is the trouble. Somebody that called from UK, from London, you see what he said. They are borrowing there, but they are putting it into the right channel. But my take is we should look inward. We should look inward. This nation, we should look inward and stop deceiving ourselves. Right. Thank you.
Let's get your name before you leave, because we didn't get the name the first time.
My name is Sonny Umaru Onikutu from Federal Government College, in FCT.
Thank you very much, Sonny, for that elaborate contribution. And with that contribution wraps up Daybreak Interactive this morning. For those who try to call, well, do so again next week, and definitely, hopefully, we will take those calls. And for those who manage to call through and also, give those contributions, those comments, those concerns on the development, on whether the government should borrow or not. Thank you so much for those contributions. But unfortunately, we wrap up this segment and now go on a break to return with Daybreak. Stay with us.